It's 8:31, so I'm gonna get started. I'm just gonna start by introducing myself. My name is Trina Kinsey. I'm a certified integrative health coach. All that really means is I went to nutrition school. I studied a lot of theories, and I've also studied a lot on my own along the way. So I have developed a pretty good knowledge base when it comes to natural ways to help improve focus. I've used a lot of things for myself and my family over the years, and I've read a lot, and I continue to read about ways to fine tune things because I feel like there's always new things coming out, and I'm always looking to fine tune our health. So, a little bit about me and my story and how I got into health coaching. It was really because of my daughter. My oldest is going to be 10 in a few months. When she was younger, she was sick a lot. I went to a lot of doctors, and they all told me that there was really nothing we could do. And so I thought, well, maybe if I changed her diet, I might be able to help. So I decided to go to nutrition school, and I started studying a lot on my own outside of that. And I started to see some really great changes with her, just with changing her diet. She wasn't sick anymore. She was starting to thrive, and it was like a different child. She was sleeping better. Her moods were better. Everything just seemed better. And I was really thrilled about that, at the prospect that, just changing diet and nutrition could be such a powerful tool. So I decided to start helping others do the same. And that's kind of how I started my practice. And that's really where my focus is working with families who are looking to kind of transition to a little bit more natural lifestyle. So that's where I come from. So I'm gonna share with you guys tonight some of the statistics and facts about focus that I found that I thought were interesting. It really is a growing epidemic, so to speak, of people having difficulty focusing. And there we go. So this data is from 2014, but I really liked the images that came with it. So as you can imagine, things are even growing from here. So back in 2014, there were 6.4 million children diagnosed with ADHD, which is difficulty focusing, along with other issues, but that's one of the main characteristics. So the average age of a diagnosis is 7 years old. Usually symptoms are appearing between 3 to 6 years old. They say that 6.1% of American children are diagnosed with ADHD with medication, and 42% there has been a 42% increase in ADHD diagnoses over the past 8 years. And I would venture to say that those numbers are probably even higher now, based on the conversations that I'm having with moms every day, and also what I'm hearing from medical professionals. So what I thought was really interesting is that the symptoms that are displayed with ADHD are often different between boys and girls and men and women. And in my research, I found that men and boys are more prone to ADHD and focus issues. As you can see, boys are more likely to act out and externalize, where it seems as girls are more likely to internalize. Internalize their issues with focus. And I thought that was really interesting. And I just wanted to share these because I think sometimes as parents, we struggle to know if our children's behaviors are normal, or if it's something that may warrant a bit more attention. And so I wanted to share these just as some things to look out for if you suspect that your child may have ADHD. And that doesn't mean that they do just because they have some of these characteristics. It's just, some things that you could be on the lookout for. So some of the reasons that people may struggle with focus, and there are a lot of them, and this applies to adults and children. So everything I'm talking about here is not just child specific. I'm sharing some of the stories in relation to children because that's my own personal journey. And I really worked a lot with my daughter who just turned 5 on her focus. But a lot of these principles can be applied for both adults and children. So genetics, if you have a parent who has ADHD or focus issues, you are much more likely to have those same issues yourself. So that plays a big role in your ability to focus. Prenatal health, the health of the mother while they're carrying the baby in utero, is really very important and also is a big factor in determining your ability to focus. Toxin exposure is a huge one. The levels that children and adults are exposed to toxins today are so significantly higher than they were years ago. Children are starting out at a disadvantage, and it's their bodies aren't able to handle that load of toxins. And when you think about the generations and generations and all the toxins that have been piled and piled from generation to generation, the children are starting out now at a much higher disadvantage. It's harder for them to focus than it was for grandparents years ago. You know, they were eating organic before organic was even a thing. So you have to keep that in consideration, that this is why we're seeing a rise in focus issues, is because the toxins the load is really high. In addition to that, diet plays a huge part. And I wrote SAD here. That's the standard American diet. So that's, your pizza and fries and cheesesteaks and foods that have little to no nourishment. And our children and our own bodies are overfed and undernourished, and that contributes a lot to difficulties with focus. If your body doesn't have the nutrients that it needs, and your brain can't focus the way that it's supposed to, because it's not being fed properly. So that's a really big part, and that's something that I always encourage people to really dig into if their family is struggling with focus. And really with almost any health issue, the diet is always the cornerstone piece of that. So really cleaning up the diet is going to be critical in improving focus for both children and adults. And I also believe that a sedentary lifestyle plays a really big part in focus problems. So children were not made to sit in classrooms all day. Their bodies need to move. Adults should be moving regularly. When we're stuck in a box and we're not able to move around our bodies the way that we're supposed to, we have difficulty focusing. Our bodies and our brains aren't moving and doing things the way that they were designed to. So that plays a big part as well. So I'm going to cover really 3 approaches and things that you can do to help support better focus for yourself and for your children. I'm looking at 3 components here. It's nutrition, lifestyle, and then activation and supplementation. Those are the 3 different umbrellas of things that you can work on when you are looking to improve your personal focus or the focus of your children. So nutrition, this is, as I said earlier, I think one of the most important parts of improving your focus. You really want to focus on a diet that is high in good quality protein. You want organic meats, you want grass-fed meats. You really want to nourish the brain and the body. And along with that come healthy fats. You're looking at things like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. You're not looking at vegetable oils and things like that. You want to keep everything close to the earth. You want really healthy fats, and that's a really important part for nourishing the brain. Fresh vegetables, especially leafy greens. And I know sometimes it's hard to get kids to eat those, but there are creative ways that you can do it. You can incorporate them into smoothies. I've even blended them into eggs and made green eggs that way. There are so many ways to get leafy greens and sneak them into your kids' food, and it's huge in helping to detoxify the body and getting the nutrients that you really need for your body to thrive. Oily fish is a really great one. Fish oil is huge for brain health. It gives you omegas, so trying to incorporate that into your diet is really great. You can do things like fish sticks, or, I find if you introduce fish at a younger age for kids, especially, it's easier to get them in the habit of eating it. I know that if I bread my fish, my kids are much more likely to eat it and enjoy it that way. So try different ways. Don't give up just because your child says that they don't like something once. And the same applies for adults too. Sometimes we try something and we think we're never going to like it, but the more we try it, the more we realize we might be able to make it work. So fish can be a great one for the brain health. Stabilizing blood sugar is really important for helping with focus also. If you're having blood sugar spikes, it's really hard to sit still and focus. I mean, I can't imagine, if you have a sugar crash, that anybody would have any interest in sitting and learning anything in a school environment or sitting at a desk and focusing and doing their work. So making sure that you're stabilizing blood sugar with those quality proteins and those healthy fats, and keeping yourself satiated and being able to sit and, not bouncing off the walls is important. Along that note, are things that you want to limit and avoid. So I know a lot of these are things that people know about, but it's important to address it, because I do think that this is a key component for a lot of us in being able to focus properly, and especially kids. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, foods that come in bags with lots of ingredients, foods that come from fast food restaurants, again, you're going to be overfed and undernourished. Your body's not getting the nourishment that it needs. So it's not going to be able to function the way that it really can. It's not going to function at its optimal level. The same applies for high sugar foods. So after you eat an ice cream or candy, it's going to be really hard to sit and focus. I mean, if you're eating a candy bar for a snack at school, it's going to be hard for you to sit through a lesson after that, because you're going to want to go run off that sugar. So that's definitely something you want to try to avoid in the diet. And particularly if you're talking about a kid in school, you really want to try to avoid giving them foods like that, especially during the school day if they struggle with focus. Foods that are high allergy or sensitivity foods can often also cause imbalance in the body and make it really difficult to sit still and focus. For my family, that was gluten and dairy. When I took those out of my daughter's diet, it was like a new person emerged. Her moods were better, her sleep was better, she had less congestion. There are lots of foods that are high on the allergy sensitivity list, but in my opinion, gluten and dairy are two of the biggest ones that contribute to people's, sensitivity levels being over the correct threshold, I guess you could say. And then the biggest one, which is so, so important, is artificial colors and food coloring. If you're consuming things like Gatorade or candies or cereals with artificial colors and food coloring, those are proven to make it difficult to focus. So if you're looking to clean up your diet or your children's diet, I always say that's the easiest place to start. I know some of the other stuff might seem overwhelming if you've been eating a standard American diet, but being able to remove artificial colors and food coloring is one of the easiest things that you can do to kind of get yourself on the right foot and get yourself started in cleaning things up and helping to improve with focus. Lifestyle. This also plays a really big part in focus. These are some tips that I have on how you can help to get better focus throughout the day, things that you can put into practice that may help improve your focus or the focus of your children. Regular exercise and movement breaks. So, in school, recess is critical for children, but adults don't take movement breaks like that often at work. And that's an important thing to do. If you're feeling like you're having a difficult time focusing, you need to check in with your body and see if some movement might help, even if it's, taking a quick walk around the office or doing a few jumping jacks, or even just some deep breaths and centering your mind and your body. Minimizing screen time or taking regular screen breaks is huge. I know that my kids' focus and mood is drastically affected by screen time. So that is a really big one to work with, particularly handheld electronics. Those are emitting something called EMF, electromagnetic frequency. And if you're holding the screen, it makes it even more challenging, in my opinion, because you're getting the additional EMFs plus the movement going on the screen. It's just a lot for the mind to take in. So if you do work in front of a screen, it's really important to take regular screen breaks, give your eyes a break. And if your kids are working on the computer or watching TV or using their iPad, please have them take regular breaks and try to minimize it as much as you can if they have issues with focus. It will really help them a lot. I also find that alternating doing hard things with easy things is a great strategy as well. So if you struggle in a particular area at work and you find that to be hard, like making spreadsheets, but then you find other things like replying to emails easy. Alternate those things. So you're doing some hard things, but then you're doing some easy things after. So for instance, with kids, maybe they don't really like math, but they like science. So maybe do the math homework first, get that out of the way, and then follow that up with science or a drawing or something that's fun, and alternate between hard and easy things. And that will give the mind a break, so you're not feeling like you're in this intense focus mode the whole, all day long. I find that the visual organization is really important for helping to maximize focus. I know that when my daughter, when the playroom is really cluttered, she is very disorganized. It makes a really big difference if her environment is clutter free and organized. So if you have a workspace or a playroom, trying to keep that clutter free and organized will be huge from a visual perspective, because I think when your space is organized, your brain has more space to feel organized. Reducing oxidative stress is a big one. I mentioned the EMFs from handheld electronics. And I mentioned earlier the toxins that we're inundated with. Working on reducing oxidative stress has been the key component for my daughter, who's 5. Actually, just sharing a little personal story about it. She was struggling so much with focus that I actually didn't send her to kindergarten on time, because I didn't think she would be able to make it through a school day and have the level of focus required to make it through, the expectations of today's kindergarten. And I will say that since we started working on her oxidative stress, her focus has done a complete turnaround. That was a key component for her. Her diet was already good. We already had the lifestyle stuff down. That was really the missing component for her, was getting her oxidative stress in check. So I find that for my family to be one of the most important components of helping to improve our focus. Mindfulness and meditation. This is a big one. Scheduling time to be mindful and to meditate and just be for a bit if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed at work. And I think this is something that's really important to teach our children as a coping strategy, and helping them if they're feeling overwhelmed with their schoolwork, if they feel like they just need a break, teaching them to take a moment to go inside and be mindful of what's going on. And really, meditation is a huge tool, I find, in stress management, and also in helping, like I said, to maximize your focus. Planning your and scheduling your time and being intentional with it really helps. I know I had a tendency to be very unstructured with my daughter when she was younger, and I don't think her personality did well with it. She seems to do better when she has a schedule and knows what to expect. And it helps her to transition easier and to be more focused and in the moment when she knows what it is she's supposed to be doing and what is to be coming next. So I find that that's a really important piece for her, and keeping herself focused. And then prioritizing sleep. I know I don't focus well when I'm really tired. I know my kids don't focus well. So for me, sleep is a non-negotiable. There is a bedtime. We go to bed at that bedtime, because if my kids don't get enough sleep, they can't focus. They're grumpy, and they're just not at their best selves. Their health is not what it should be. So in order to maximize your brain health and optimize your focus, you really want to prioritize sleep. And that may be a different amount for everybody. Some people may need more and some may need less, but finding out what that number is and what you need to thrive, and really honoring that, and sleeping when you need to. And then the last component, which is activation/supplementation. So there are a lot of things that you can do in addition to changing your nutrition and lifestyle. You can help to support the mind and the body and to rebalance it. And this can make a huge impact on your focus, because sometimes, I'll be honest, I wish that nutrition was always enough, and just changing the diet would be enough, but that's not always the case. And it wasn't the case for us. My daughter has eaten a really wonderful diet since the day she was born. It's what I do for a living. I've focused on those lifestyle pieces since she was born as well, but there was still a missing component, and that was finding the right balance of how to activate her brain and her body properly. So ways that you can do that. I mentioned earlier that fish is really healthy for the brain. So a DHA omega fish oil is critical for brain health. I'm a big believer that supporting the brain makes big shifts in focus, and this applies for both adults and children for healthy brain development. There are also some herbs that really support focus. Bacopa is one of them. You can find that in its own form on its own, or you can mix it with other herbs in a particular ratio. I know that the NRF2 blend contains Bacopa, and combined with the other 4 ingredients in that blend, it makes it, I believe, 18 times more powerful. So that's a great way to help support focus and your brain function. Caffeine from green tea or coffee. I personally don't drink coffee. I can do a little bit of green tea. But I find that when you mix it with some of the other things that I have listed here in the Axio blend, that's actually one of the best ways to help improve focus. So if you combine caffeine with L-theanine, Monterey pine bark, DME, and quercetin, that gives you the best possible blend to help support focus and mood. So that can all be found together in a blend called Axio, which is a powder you can add to a drink. Probiotics are crucial. Gut health is a huge part of brain health, which has a big impact on focus. So making sure that you're treating your gut properly with a good quality probiotic is very important too. And I mentioned Axio earlier, and then I think the Tri-Synergizer is a huge component for helping me personally with my focus and energy. Adding in the NAD Synergizer to my already existing NRF1 and NRF2 blend has made really big changes for me and given me incredible mental clarity where I'm able to write again at a level that I haven't been able to for quite some time. So those are some tips that I have on activation, supplementation. If you guys have questions or comments, please leave them below in the comments section. I will go back after this presentation and I will answer them. As I said, I cannot answer comments or questions as I'm doing the presentation because I cannot see them. But I do want to encourage everybody here to check in with the person who invited you to this group, the person who invited you to this event. If you have any questions, there'll be a great resource for you. And thank you so much for taking time to listen in tonight. I hope that you found some value in this information. And please feel free to, again, ask questions or make comments below. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful night.